Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a powerful and strategically significant moment in the Russia-Ukraine war, one that has once again shaken both the battlefield and the political atmosphere inside Russia. Ukraine has launched another calculated and precise strike on the Crimea Bridge. And this time, the impact goes far beyond physical destruction. This operation has exposed one of Russia's biggest weaknesses: its inability to fully defend the most important supply route, linking mainland Russia to occupied Crimea. What unfolded in the early hours has left Russian officials scrambling for answers and the global community stunned at the precision and timing of the attack. The strike happened during the quietest hour of the night, when traffic was at its lowest and visibility was poor. But even under those conditions, the explosion was so massive that residents miles away reported seeing a bright flash, followed by a deep rumble that shook buildings. Videos recorded from nearby coastal areas show a giant fireball lighting up the night sky as the bridge shook violently under the blast. The sound echoed across the Kerch Strait, waking people in multiple towns and sending emergency units racing toward the scene. As the flames climbed higher, thick smoke began rising above the water, forming a dark column visible even from satellite imagery. Drivers on the bridge immediately stopped their vehicles, some abandoning them entirely as they ran for safety. Others captured the aftermath on their phones: broken concrete slabs hanging over the edge, burning debris falling into the sea, and sections of the roadway split open. This wasn't a minor strike. It was a direct hit on the structural heart of the bridge, one designed to cause maximum disruption. For Ukraine, the operation wasn't just about damaging infrastructure. It was about proving a point. Russia's most heavily guarded and symbolically important asset is still vulnerable. Despite Russia's repeated claims of having advanced air, defense systems, radar coverage, and patrol units around the bridge, Ukraine once again found a way through. And this time, analysts believe the strike was carried out using upgraded drones or long-range precision weapons that operated with almost surgical accuracy. What makes the Crimea Bridge so important is not just its location, but what it represents. Russia built it after annexing Crimea in 2014 to send a message to the world that the peninsula was permanently under its control. For years, Russian media portrayed it as untouchable, protected by layered defenses and constantly monitored. Yet every time the bridge is hit, it exposes a deeper truth Russia tries to hide. Its defenses can be bypassed, its surveillance can be fooled, and its strategic routes can be struck even in the dead of night. When footage of the strike began spreading online, Russian state media attempted to downplay it, claiming the situation was under control. But the visuals told a different story. Flames engulfed parts of the roadway, emergency responders struggled to reach damaged sections, and military units blocked access in a desperate attempt to contain the chaos. Ferry lines began forming immediately as Russian authorities scrambled to reroute traffic, causing hours, long delays and frustration among civilians trying to cross. Inside the Kremlin, the mood reportedly shifted to panic and anger. President Vladimir Putin, who has always presented the bridge as a symbol of his personal authority, was briefed immediately. Sources suggest he was frustrated that Ukraine managed to hit the bridge again despite new defense measures added after previous attacks. Russian commanders have been ordered to review security protocols, but the deeper issue remains. They cannot defend every point, every route, every system all the time. Ukraine has learned how to exploit that weakness. The strategic impact of this strike is enormous. The Crimea Bridge is a primary supply artery for transporting fuel, ammunition, military vehicles, and reinforcements to Russian troops operating in southern Ukraine. When this route is disrupted, it slows down Russia's entire war machine. Supplies must be rerouted through the land corridor along the Sea of Azov, which is longer, slower, and easier for Ukraine to target. Every delay hurts Russia's frontline operations, especially during critical phases where timing and logistics determine the outcome of battles. Military analysts around the world have noted that these repeated strikes on the bridge are not random. Ukraine is following a clear strategy called deep strike warfare, targeting the support structures that keep the enemy's forces functioning. Instead of wasting resources on large-scale frontal assaults, Ukraine is hitting key nodes, bridges, supply depots, command posts, radar stations, and ammunition facilities. Each strike weakens Russia's ability to sustain operations, slowly creating pressure that builds over time. For the Russian military, the biggest weakness exposed is not the bridge itself. It's the growing gap between their claimed capabilities and their actual performance. Despite having advanced air defenses like the S-300 and S-400 systems, despite having naval patrols in the Kerch Strait, despite installing electronic jamming systems, Russia still could not prevent this strike. And every time a high-value target is hit, it chips away at their credibility both internally and externally. The reaction from civilians in Crimea has also been telling. Reports suggest that many residents now fear the peninsula is no longer safe, despite years of Russian propaganda claiming the opposite. When a structure as important and supposedly secure as the Crimea Bridge keeps getting hit, people begin questioning everything else around them: airbases, fuel stations, ports, and military installations. Confidence erodes slowly, then suddenly. Meanwhile, Ukraine has remained relatively quiet about the strike, following its usual strategic communication style. Officials avoid confirming or denying operations, instead letting the results speak for themselves. This has created a psychological advantage. Russia never knows when the next strike will come, from where, or with what weapon. Uncertainty becomes a weapon of its own. As the night turned to daylight, new footage emerged showing the extent of the damage. Large chunks of the roadway were missing, metal beams were twisted and bent, and scorched patches covered wide areas of the surface. Engineers began inspecting the structure, but early assessments suggested repairs could take weeks or longer, depending on the internal damage. Even if the bridge is partially reopened, vulnerability remains. Ukraine has shown it can hit it anytime it chooses. International reactions have been swift, with many nations recognizing the strategic significance of the strike. Analysts in Europe and the United States pointed out that the bridge is a legitimate military target, heavily used to supply Russian troops. The strike is not just symbolic, it has real tactical and operational consequences. Meanwhile, Russian officials claimed the attack is an act of terrorism, hoping to rally domestic support. But the more they push that narrative, the more they expose their own inability to protect strategic infrastructure. As we evaluate the broader picture, the meaning of this strike becomes clearer. It's not just about damaging a bridge, it's about undermining Russia's confidence, disrupting its logistics, exposing its vulnerabilities, and reshaping the psychological landscape of the war. Each successful hit deepens the cracks in Russia's strategy and forces them to divert resources from the front lines to defend territory they once believed was fully under their control. Ukraine, on the other hand, has sent a powerful message to its own people and the world. Despite being outgunned and outnumbered, it can still deliver precise, meaningful blows that shift the course of the conflict. This fuels morale not only among soldiers, but among civilians who have endured nearly 2 years of war. It also reassures international supporters that their aid is making a difference, and that Ukraine remains capable of hitting key targets with devastating accuracy. The latest strike highlights a new evolution in modern warfare. Drones, precision, guided weapons, and intelligence-driven operations are transforming how conflicts are fought. No longer is war solely about large-scale troop movements. It's about technology, timing, and exploiting weaknesses. Ukraine is proving that even a smaller nation can outmaneuver a larger opponent with the right strategy. As we wrap up today's coverage, one thing is absolutely clear. Russia's biggest weakness has been exposed once again. The Crimea Bridge, once a symbol of Russian power, has turned into a reminder of their vulnerability. Ukraine has shown that no matter how many defenses Russia builds, they can still strike when and where they choose. And as long as the war continues, this strategic pressure will only intensify. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more updates on this rapidly evolving story. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more detailed analysis of major global events. We'll see you in the next video.